I'm joined now by an occupational health, safety and sustainability professional, Dr. Julius Akpong. Thank you very much, Doctor, for giving us your time. Let's begin by understanding what some of the safety measures or structural assessment typically conducted on pedestrian bridges along highways such as the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway that might have prevented incidents like this.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, always. Well, so straight to the question, safety measures to sustain the integrity of structures on highways. As the case with every other thing that you would have in a very risky location like highways, it's very, very important that they are periodically tested, that their integrity is checked. But in case of the case in point, it may have not so much to do with whether it was checked or not, because no matter what you do, the integrity of any structure, even if it's newly built, will be impacted if any such firm and heavy substance object rams into it at high speed. The integrity will be drastically impacted. So for the case in point, our major concern should be how can we prevent a truck at high speed from ramming into such a structure?
Okay.
So
that would be actually the second question I would ask you. What role does regulatory compliance and enforcement play in preventing such incidents involving oversized vehicles on roads with structures like pedestrian bridge?
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a fantastic question. So their role, number one, is that all such vehicles should have been tested for height, checked for load capacity, so that, these structures are built with consideration for safe height, safe operational height for such vehicles, so that when you do these checks, carry out these checks properly and regularly on such vehicles, there will never, or there will hardly ever be a time when they leave the loading dock with a height higher than what it should be. And then drivers would, before this time, have been very well abreast of the consequences of overspeeding, since at that speed, your load might be a little tilted, or if you are overloaded, what measures to take when you are approaching structures like this. There's a clear case of recklessness, a clear case of overloading, which shows, even though, investigation still needs to be carried out to effectively ascertain the facts, but right at sight, you can see there that this, if it were to be the case that the height of the bridge was too short, you would then have seen that this would not have been the first incident. There would have been several other ones that would already have happened there before. But this shows that this vehicle was overloaded, the height considerations were not checked, and even when the driver knew he was overloaded, he couldn't even bother to slow down on approaching such a structure. Usually when you are conscious and you're driving a high vehicle like that, you are conscious. In fact, as a person, sometimes when you're approaching a low level of overhead object, you tend to want to bend your head. It's natural. It just comes to you when you are conscious. You tend to even bend your head, even when you are under another roof. It's only natural that when we approach such structures, you slow down and even check that what you're carrying can go through the height. But all of that was apparently thrown to the wind, and this person saw an empty road and decided to just fire through it. This incident, we may not have had casualties, people dying from it, but it's what we call a high potential near miss, because a lot of people would have died. Imagine the number of people who always use this bridge at very concentrated times.
At least we're quite thankful for that no life was lost at the moment. There's always the human factor, isn't there? Even if you put all the protocols in place, there's always that one person that want to do, let me do sharp quickly and get this done. But what has happened. So in the aftermath of this event, what immediate steps might be taken by the Lagos State government and transportation authorities to address safety concerns mitigate traffic disruptions and expedite the reconstruction or repair of the collapsed pedestrian bridge? Because we did saw experts there testing it.
Yeah, so the very first thing to do is like what they did today, traffic agencies deploying to the scene, controlling traffic, ensuring that there was no gridlock, traffic gridlock within, because this incident is the type that can cause many more incidents as pedestrians continue to skip through the mid-range to try and run across the road. So there needs to be barriers along that area. There needs to be pedestrian crossing, urgent pedestrian crossing drawn along on the road on that area so that vehicles approaching there can slow down. If there are other routes, alternative routes that road users can use, some road users need to be advised to use those routes so that as traffic slows down on this area due to this obstruction, which might take some time, that this does not cause perpetual traffic gridlock along this side of the road. Apart from that, there is need to deploy constant a good number of last mile officials to this side, to this part of town, to ensure that they adequately control traffic. Like I said, this opens the potential for incidents to happen here. That is why there's need for these guys to constantly be there and concentrate actually on, like you can see on the video there, concentrate on doing the job rather than looking for people to arrest or make money out of, as is sometimes the case in our climb here. It's important that people are focused on safety rather than on pecuniary gains that this situation creates for them. That's on the one side. On the other hand, it's an emergency that the state government should quickly rise to the occasion and assist with rebuilding this bridge, because the absence of it leaves a big lapse which can lead to further accidents. So, and I would suggest that if this half of the bridge was connected to the second half of the bridge, I would suggest that it's very important that beyond testing, we replace both of them, because the impact of this would have shaken the pillars, the other pillars. And then they should also look at height. If we think height was a problem here, then maybe we need to raise the bridge by some inch higher, or maybe about an inch higher or 2 inches higher, depending on an investigation, because this incident needs to be thoroughly investigated. We need to find out at about what speed limit was the driver operating at. If he has ever driven through this place before, why is it different this time? All of this needs to be ascertained so that the facts can be deployed into ensuring a long-lasting solution.
All right.
So we call that a factual root cause analysis. Root cause analysis needs to be done so as to determine what would have gone wrong, especially if the driver has used this place before. What went wrong in this particular instance?
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on the issue. We appreciate the insight.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.